Hey everyone, and welcome to the Same Old Arsenal podcast. Tonight we're doing things a bit differently. I won't be hosting, but my esteemed colleague below, young Christopher, will be when we come back after the intro. See you in a minute.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to all of you beautiful Arsenal fans out there tuning in to this, our Sunday evening romp of a wonderful podcast in which we're going to spend probably about an hour waxing lyrical after, well, what's been quite a fantastic weekend, to be honest with you. I'm sure everyone can agree. Now, Amanda is here. Hello, Amanda.
Hi, Christopher. This is weird.
Yeah, me hosting.
The only problem I've got is when I put the questions up like this, they're going to go over your face.
I don't mind that. Nobody needs to see my face or the shirt that I'm wearing, which is a Portugal shirt that my mother brought me when she recently came back from Portugal. And I'm wearing it tonight in memory of Cristiano Ronaldo, who basically doesn't play football anymore. So Cristiano Ronaldo, congratulations on Manchester United this evening. Congratulations for being irrelevant in a title race.
I'm going to try and put the little comments on that are short that don't go over your face, but we will be taking questions later, won't we, young Christopher? And I'm dealing with all the comments, everybody, so I'll be watching you, and Chris and I and James will be talking football.
Amanda is dealing with the comments. Amanda is our administrator this evening, so she will be running this show, although I'll be doing some of the talking and probing some of the questions now. James, you all right?
Oh, mate, never better. Not only did I get to witness that yesterday, get to witness that United demolition today, now I get to speak of you fine people. What a Sunday.
Oh, what a Sunday. What a weekend indeed. I will admit I have spent most of it inebriated. And we're going to have a bit of fun to start off with. So I'm going to give three situations from the North London derby, which took place yesterday. And at the time of recording for us on Sunday, we are going to have a chat about the North London derby. But I want one of you. I'm going to start with Amanda, ladies first. I've got three scenarios. I want you to pick which one was your favourite, Amanda. Are you ready? So was it number one, Eric Dyer being sent for an absolute hot dog by Granit Xhaka as he dropped the shoulder and smashed it in, which was hilarious? Was it Antonio Conte ironically crying foul over VAR or life in general, having 5 months ago told Arteta to maybe complain a little bit less? Or was it the media narrative sad faces that we've seen over the last week in which they talk about Antonio Conte, he's just inevitable, all of that nonsense? So that's your pick. You've got Eric Dyer for a hot dog, you've got Conte crying, or you've got a media narrative. And you can start off. Tell us which one was your most favourite from this weekend.
Probably Eric Dyer. And then as you read them out, the second one would have been Conte and the third one, the media.
Well, hold on. James gets to pick from the remaining two. So explain why Eric Dyer.
Oh, my God. Anything that Eric Dyer does wrong, we've all got big smiles on our faces, especially if it benefits us. I mean, surely on the football pitch is more important than Conte. And to be honest, I don't actually hate Conte. He's not Spurs enough for me yet. I think him moaning on Match of the Day last night was absolutely brilliant when he said, I'm not going to comment on the red cards, and he carried on commenting about it. Eric Dyer for me.
Lovely. James, you've got either that. So Amanda has chosen Eric Dyer getting sent for a hot dog, which so flat-footed on that third goal was hilarious in my eyes. So you've only got two to pick from, I'm afraid. You can either talk for a minute or two about Conte crying, or you can talk about media narrative and sad faces.
I think the media narrative is going to carry on no matter what we do this season. So I'll go for the Conte one. But the thing that I loved most about yesterday was at 70 minutes when he made those substitutions and took off Son, took off Richarlison. Oh, it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. That's a 3-1 as well. Like, he just knew it was game over. And I just love the idea of the Spurs fans just absolutely seething as that happens. And imagine supporting a club that makes such negative decisions from start to finish. Could never be my club. Never.
Love it, love it. And so in that case, I've got the final one to pick from because obviously it's the last one on the list, which is Conte crying in general. And Amanda, you've obviously mentioned it previously, but honestly, hook it to my veins because hearing Antonio Conte cry about VAR decisions and about red cards killing the game. I wonder, Antonio, was there a certain game that was killed in May where you profited from it? And to quote your words, I don't care. I'm sorry, I'm not having this for a split second. So I'm in block 5, as you guys know, and in real time, I don't see any replay. They don't show any replays and stuff inside the stadium, but I saw the foul as it happened, but it was right down the far corner from where I stand. And in real time, all of the guys around me in block 5, guys and girls, said, yeah, that's a foul. That looked a bit dirty. Expected a yellow card. When Anthony Taylor brandished the red card, which I don't know about you guys, but every time I see it on the pitch, it almost looks orange, that red card. It's a weird sort of fluorescent yellow, but that's a by the by. We were all stunned, but having watched it back again, shocking. That was a red card. And if you're going to try and complain about that, sorry, Conte, but you are a mug. So that was our little bit of fun, our starting off. But let's talk about the game itself. Amanda, pre-game, is the North London derby, and I'm going to just hit you with my narrative, which is I find the North London derby the most uncomfortable and horrible pre-game build-up possibly imaginable. Talk me through your thoughts pre-game, what you were thinking, what you did, and yeah, let's start with that.
Okay, so as you know, I do a podcast on this channel and I did it Friday night with an Arsenal fan and a Tottenham fan. And the Tottenham fan is actually a friend of mine, nothing to do with social media. Really nice guy. He works at Tottenham. He does the commentary for the visually impaired. So he's got quite a lot of, and he's a massive Tottenham fan, has been for many years. He works for the club. So he's one of those good Tottenham fans. And there's not many, but he is. And then I had an Arsenal guest on that me and him ended up arguing, where the Tottenham fan just sat there, me and him ended up arguing, completely negative. Said we're one injury away from, a championship player, and we were arguing about Eddie and all this. And this was Friday night. I actually thought there was going to be more arguing with the Tottenham fan. He just sat there and let us chat. So that was Friday night. And I sort of went to bed a bit like, I'm really surprised how some Arsenal fans are still quite negative. Do I think we're going to win the league? No, I don't. I'm not an idiot. If anyone watched Man City today, yeah. Anyway, moving on from them. And that beast of a unit in midfield that is just phenomenal. I woke up Saturday morning, woke up early and beautiful sunny day. And it was really strange because I was nervous. We all are nervous. I mean, listen, both sides are. I work with a Tottenham fan now, and one of my managers is, and we've been having a bit of banter. And he was giving it a bit large in the office, but not too much. And I never said a word. I don't, because I can't take it, so I don't give it. And I just said, look, form goes out the window, but we're both playing really well. But what I did say to the Tottenham fan, and these are the few things that I did say on Friday night, was first of all, I think where you are in the league flatters you because you haven't actually been playing that well. Second of all, if anyone takes their chances against you, you're going to lose all your games because you're really not a great team. Don't get me wrong. No one can say that Kane and Son are not fantastic players. Of course, I'm not saying that, but I don't find anything else about your team worrying. He sort of got that. He sort of said, look, there have been moments where we have been lucky. I said, well, we've been unlucky at United. We'd have had a completely 100% record. So this was all like going over in my mind. And then, I get to my cousin's pretty early, and my cousin from Australia's over, who goes to major games with us. Massive Arsenal fan, but he comes over for games, and he's just so happens work has brought him over and he's coming to Tottenham with us. And we're in the car. It was like the old days, 20, 30 years ago, going with him to Highbury. And we were all, I wouldn't say confident, but we weren't as fearful. We were, you know what it is, Chris? I was actually looking forward to it. Beautiful sunny day. We've got, and I did say this as well, that Partey would be key on Friday night. I said, if Partey plays and does what we need him to do, we've got a massive chance against you. And then I sort of went on to some other subjects, but watching the game yesterday, we've seen how key he was. But and sort of the Emirates, right? So we get to the Emirates, we have a bit of brunch. I don't go to the pubs at the moment, and we was outside the Emirates, and I bumped into where Tottenham go in. I go into the next thing, but no one was there. It was pretty early. I bumped into the brass band. Well, I've never seen them. And I was walking along with them while they were playing. I loved it. Wasn't many Gooners around that part. Then they went down by the Armoury and it was mobbed. And I mean, thousands and thousands of us. I didn't see one Tottenham fan, only those idiots that buy half and half scarves that I really wanted to have a go at the vendor about. But anyway, and we were like, they were playing all the good Arsenal songs and everyone was buzzing and Sky Sports was there. Apparently I walked past Sky Sports and I was on that. And it was just one of those where you looked at the sky and went, this is a beautiful morning for football. This is the atmosphere. And I did try and tell everybody when I was on the podcast on Friday night, especially to the Tottenham fan, you're never going to hear the Emirates like it, because this is the big one. This is where our atmosphere, that everyone like jokes about being quiet, it's going to be the complete opposite, because we have not been quiet and our fans have been superb. And I was buzzing and looking forward to it more than nervous, but always have that tinge, always, because, you cannot lose to Tottenham. You can't. You just can't.
Not
It's
at
the
home.
one. You just can't, can you? Because it just ruins everything. And then they would have gone top above us. And even though being top on the 1st of October means nothing, you don't want them above you and winning at your place. So I was really looking forward to it with a little bit of apprehension.
Love it. And we don't lose at home. 2010, last time we suffered a defeat against Tottenham. I think even that day I was in the ground. It wasn't really a defeat in which they deserved it. We tend to actually turn up. But Cookie, James Cook, Mr. Cook, Senior Cook, Captain Cook, initial thoughts on your pre-game, how you felt, but then also the lineup itself, because I think we got pretty much one of the strongest lineups that we could hope for, didn't we?
Yeah, I was a bit apprehensive going into the game. I was confident that we wouldn't lose, but I wasn't confident that we'd win. I dreaded the prospect of them going a goal up because, I mean, we saw how hard it was to break them down until that unbelievable party goal came out of nothing, really. We dominated possession, but, I mean, in terms of clear-cut opportunities, apart from that Martinelli one where he hit the post, I mean, we had a few half chances, but they're just so defensive. They sit so deep. It's so hard to break them down. So the prospect of going a goal down and then having to try and break them down when they'd go even ultra defensive was not something I wanted to even think about. But thankfully that didn't happen. With regards to the lineup, I mean, I couldn't have been more happy with it. The only thing that I might have changed would be Tierney for Zinchenko. I thought Zinchenko had a fine game. Don't think there was anything negative about his performance. And the way he's instructed to play for Arsenal is very much that we know he's going to drift more into the pitch. And I wouldn't even really call him a defender because he doesn't do a lot of that for us. He's kind of an auxiliary left-back midfielder type of player. And I think the chances Spurs did have, a lot of them did come down that area of the pitch. And it was just a simple ball over the top to Richarlison, who was the one having the most joy down there. That's the only one I would have changed because I think Tierney's been in excellent form. And I thought he was great when he came on as a substitute as well. Obviously, he'll get his chance on Thursday. But I would have kept him in that rich vein of form. But I can't criticise the way the team played at all. I don't even think we played at our absolute best yesterday, which I think is saying something for how far this team can go. Because I think I've seen us play better this season in periods. I thought in that first half, as dominant as we were, we have fashioned more chances in the past. And I think we'll hopefully, when the likes of Ødegaard, Zinchenko, etc., who were out of the team with a little injury not too long ago, once they've got fully up to speed, we'll hopefully see them in full flow against Liverpool next week. And this team is just a joy to watch. And we're creating chances so often, which is something we didn't do last season. I mean, I can't remember creating that many chances in a game at any point last season. I mean, we've seen glimpses of it, but we've not really seen it consistently. And now we're seeing it consistently. Like, I'm confident going into every single game that we're going to at least score one. And that's what I'm kind of relishing about that Liverpool game, because you see him conceding 3-0 at home, 3 goals at home to Anfield, to Brighton. I mean, I really feel like we can put a few past them. I'm not counting my chickens just yet, but with that front three, with a midfield that is now contributing, which is something we didn't have last season, Ødegaard, Xhaka and Partey, all three of them are contributing. We can, the sky's the limit. I'm not going to get carried away, but that was a great win yesterday. And when this team is fully fit, when Partey is fully fit, we are something special.
And that's the end of the podcast.
Well, it's interesting.
I haven't even got to my seat yet, and we've discussed the whole game.
No, brilliant. Do you know what? It's interesting you say that about Xhaka. So I wrote this in my blog this morning. Last season, his best ever goal and assist contribution in an Arsenal shirt was in 2017 or 2018. And that was 6 goals and assists. I think he got 4 goals and 2 assists. This season already, 5 goals. 5 goal and assists. I've got 2. I think he's got 2 goals and 3 assists. So Granit Xhaka are already doing that out. But James, I want to stick with you just for a second. I want to talk about Tierney and Zinchenko because I'm with you because I would have played Tierney at left back before the game. But do you think that the absence of Kulusevski, who is more of a creative playmaker, creative attacking outlet, rather than Richarlison, who is an end product merchant like Kane and Son, do you think that played into Zinchenko's hands? Because in my head, I was trying to almost justify the conversation between Arteta and Tierney. Because if Arteta's saying, thanks, mate, but, Zinni's fit, so he's going in, then what does it do to his confidence? But then I started to think to myself, is he more thinking, well, all they've got is an end product merchant, so actually then we can dominate the ball more? I don't know. What are your thoughts, James, on that one?
I do think he views Zinchenko as his first choice left back, irrespective of the opposite. Yeah, I really do. Because I was surprised he started that United game as well, because I think he was just coming back from an injury for that one. So I think, he's firmly decided Zinchenko's my man. When he's fit, he's the one that's going to play. And I think Kulusevski even travelled to the game yesterday. So I don't think, his selection even, changed the thought process of Arteta. I think Zinchenko's fit, Zinchenko starts. Now, that might be the case at home. But I think if we're going to away to Tottenham, to Liverpool, to City, I think it's got to be Tierney, because you've got to expect that we're not going to see as much of the ball. And when we do have to be more defensive, we can't just leave a massive portion of the pitch. Like, we're leaving like a sixth of the pitch open on our left-hand side. If we do that away against the likes of Salah, against the likes of Mahrez, then it's not going to look too favourable for us. So both of those players have equally as important roles to play in the team. Zinchenko, when we're playing at home against, Forest or Bournemouth or whoever it may be, when we're going to be ball dominant and we want to overload the opposition, perfect. I wouldn't have any quibbles whatsoever with starting him. But away from home against tough opposition, that place for me is for Tierney. And I just hope Arteta sees it that way as well.
Yeah, I mean, see, this is the thing. So what I don't want there to be, when we first dropped into the Europa League, Arsene Wenger, back in the Arsene Wenger days, he had a very clear A and B team. What I want is that spirit of competition. I really want that spirit of competition to remain. And so the idea that, well, if Zinchenko's first choice, he goes in, I just worry about that. I mean, we won't dwell on that too much. I want to talk about specifics on the game. Before I ask Amanda on her thoughts about the game itself, and what we'll do, Amanda, is we'll touch on up to maybe the first goal, if that's all right. Your thoughts on generally up until that first goal. Wunderschön, if I can just tap into my German roots there. A wonderful and absolutely beautiful goal from Thomas Partey. Can you just, let's have a little bit of any interesting things from the comment side that any of our wonderful listeners have said that you thought, oh, that's quite interesting.
No, everyone's just they're taking the mickey.
Okay.
Show me a horror. We haven't asked them. Ask them for what you would like them to ask us, and then
you've done it.
Them up.
So, guys, Amanda's just asked you to ask me, but I'm asking you, and through Amanda. But this is all getting a bit meta now. So, Amanda, talk to me about the first 15, 20 minutes, like how we set up that first. How are you feeling in that first? Those first moments up until Thomas Partey rocketed with a postage stamp goal?
I would like to just say about the fans first. I mean, I thought the ground was rocking. I really couldn't find any spare seats everywhere. And I'm always looking because I'm in the East Upper. So if you two are north as well, we're not down the other end, are we? We're always down that sort of end. And I just feel that it was everything. My expectations was met with how fantastic the sound, the atmosphere, North London forever. It's just all just so perfect. Sun was shining. They didn't look as confident as us. Their fans were, I didn't even really hear them, maybe once. And then, you know, I agree with you. I sort of said to Cole this. I said Zinchenko's playing and not Tierney. Okay, I'll reserve judgment. I wasn't critical. I just thought Tierney was more suited for this game. Completely proved wrong, obviously. And as I said, I'm not a manager and Arteta is. But I think his game plan yesterday was just perfect. The problem with us is, and I knew that we would go gung ho from the kickoff, which is what we had to do, and it was absolutely brilliant. Is that we create so much amazing football that there's, I'm not saying hardly any end product, but there needs to be more. Because when Tottenham broke, and it wasn't often, but I felt, God, they just look so menacing coming forward. I want Martinelli to score a few more. I want the others because if Jesus did get a yellow yesterday, would have been out of Liverpool, and he's not. So thank God for that. So I felt we completely dominated, and I find it really strange. I watched Match of the Day last night. I don't know if anyone else felt like this. They edited it the first half to look like it was completely equal, and it really wasn't. And this is not me being a biased Arsenal fan. I always say it as it is. I felt we dominated most of the game. So really weirdly, when they were doing their 486 passes, Arsenal, I said to Carl, if we score from this has got to be about 30, 40 passes. And then Carl and I were having a sort of conversation watching the game. And then the ball comes out to, I think it was Ben White. Ben White passes to Partey. And who would have ever thought he was going to score a goal like that? His shooting has been abominable, isn't it? And it was beautiful. I mean, what a goal to open the derby with. To score against that lot anyway, don't matter how the ball goes in, but that was stunning. And I love Thomas Partey. And I believe that, I was just thinking about what James said about being fit. He played him well, Arteta. He took him off. He didn't play the full 90. We're going to have to keep doing that, I think, just to keep him away from injuries. And I've not got a problem with that, obviously, if we're doing well. But what a shot, what a goal, what an opening. And it was just, we all just went mad, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because one of the guys tweeted me last night and said, the sound on the telly didn't sound loud. I went, oh my life, it was loud. It was absolutely rocking. And, I just want to say before we forget, big up to the Ashburton boys for that fantastic little red and white bit. Big up to Red Action as well in the North Bank. I love that. And I videoed the whole thing and posted it post-game of London is red and, loved it. The unity is phenomenal. Oh.
North London is red. I am holding up a copy of the programme which just says North London. It's got a lovely picture of Emile Smith-Rowe on the front, as well as Beth Mead, and a lovely Thierry Henry pose, which Gabriel Jesus did a little bit of a cheeky ode to as well. But James, so Cookie, first half domination. I'm going to just read you out some stats. I want you to just give me your thoughts and feelings on that first half. So we've chronologically, Amanda's talked us through that, the feeling, the atmosphere, how great it was, that Thomas Partey goal, which from my perspective, so where I sit in block 5, I was literally directly in line with the ball. So when the ball leaves his foot, I can see it's going in straight away. And it happens in such a split second that your brain knows it's going in, but it takes you a second to register. And it's only when it hits the back of the net that you actually then cheer. So for me, that was extra special because I was directly in line of it. But if I can ask you just to talk us through that point from when we get that goal. So give us some general thoughts as to how you felt the opening exchanges were, that goal. But then what happened after that? Because we only had 10 minutes until Harry Kane got his standard Tottenham always get a penalty. So some general thoughts up until the Kane penalty, and then thoughts on the Kane penalty as well.
Yeah, no problem, mate. So, like we've alluded to, we started this game with such intensity, but as I felt could be a problem, if we don't break them down, then it could start to play into Spurs' hands. And after a while, although we did have a few half chances, like I mentioned earlier, we were struggling to break them down. And I think that led to a slight lull in the atmosphere around the 15-minute mark, just because, fans were starting to get a little bit apprehensive. But we were still dominating the ball. And I think it was just a case of the players were just taking their time, not forcing the issue, just creating, waiting for that opening to happen, really. And it was going to take something special to get that first goal. But the pivotal thing about that first goal is it completely throws Tottenham's game plan out the window. So that's why we had to get it. And what a finish it was. I mean, we've waited for him to do that for God knows how long. Thankfully, it's gone in the back of the net in probably the biggest game of his career. Well, no, that's an exaggeration, but from an Arsenal perspective, you couldn't have asked for a better game for that goal to eventually come in. And long may it continue. Hopefully he gets a few more like that. But after that, I mean, we continue to dominate, and their goal just kind of came out of absolutely nothing. I'm sure we'll quickly all talk about the penalty, but completely needless. We know they created a few opportunities. Richarlison had that chance from the free kick, which I think would have just been offside. Perisic had that half chance. But this, it did come out of absolutely nothing. Gabriel, if there's anyone in that back line that you feel is going to make a mistake, I hate to say it because I love the guy, but I do think it's him. He just has these moments, like these brain farts in him, and that's something we really need to eradicate. Because if he can't eradicate it, then I think from an Arteta point of view, he'll be looking to make that next upgrade. I still think for whatever we paid for him, was it 28-ish million? I still think he's worth every single penny of that. I think he's fantastic, especially alongside Saliba. But I still think if he can't eradicate those mistakes, those little bits of immaturity, then we need to, potentially look to upgrade at some point. But that's not at the forefront of my mind in a minute because, as great as Xhaka was, he was also slightly at fault for that. We just couldn't clear our box, which is like such a 2017 sort of Arsenal era. And I just really, I hated to see that. And I hate the fact that we've given them another opportunity to get a penalty against us. And it's, Kane scores a lot of goals against us, but let's face it, they're pretty much all penalties. I don't think we are in such fear of Kane that we were with someone like Didier Drogba, for example. I mean, I don't, whenever we play against him, I never feel that Kane does a lot, but he always scores and it's always a penalty. Always. And that's the thing that niggles me most because he never dominates us. He never, really works for his goal. I'm never really afraid of what he's going to do on the pitch, but I just know without a shadow of a doubt he's going to get a penalty. But frustrating to concede, and that first half was probably one of the longest I've experienced in the Emirates, and that period from the penalty until half-time felt like forever because that's when they started to claw back into the game. But I'll let you guys take over from there. I don't want to talk about Spurs.
Yeah, no. Do you know what? You're right. So Harry Kane has got 7. Like all this talk about Harry Kane's outscored Thierry Henry with the number of North London derby goals. Well, Harry Kane has scored 7 out of 14 from the penalty spot. It almost feels inevitable that they are going to get that penalty. So I joked about it beforehand, but half of me was a bit like, I'm expecting it. We're already 1-0 down before a ball's been kicked because Tottenham are going to get their standard penalty. What was really annoying from my perspective was that I can't really last season the Cedric penalty I can argue about. There's one where I think Son went down under a holding challenge a few years ago, which was a joke that they got as a penalty. There are plenty of ridiculous calls where they've got away with it. I can't really complain about that one because it was a Gabriel mistake. We needed to take that on the chin and we needed to respond to it and we needed to react to that Tottenham goal against the run of play. And then they had about 5-10 minutes. And then we had a couple of minutes before halftime. Gabriel Jesus had a good opportunity. He maybe should have flicked one in, but it is what it is. But I was at halftime. I went into the concourse, had a chat with my old friend Dave Seeger, and just was saying to Dave at the time, it feels really harsh. Can't really complain about the penalty. The second half, we need to see a reaction. Did we get the reaction, Amanda?
Well, we did, but just slightly go back to the penalty. It started with Gabriel making a mistake and it ended with Gabriel making the mistake. Like you, I thought it was a penalty right in front of me. I thought it was. And it, again, against the run of play, really Harry Kane takes it. And I actually was screaming that if Ramsdale just stands still, it'll probably go straight into him, and it did. But he doesn't score against us in open play at the Emirates. It is frustrating. It is just normal penalties. But again, we gifted it. But what I love, and this is a very new thing that keeps happening, and it's fantastic, is the minute that happens and the Arsenal players are walking back to the penalty spot, the Arsenal fans are behind them. They're cheering them. They're getting them up. There's no moaning or groaning. We're behind them. Lift them straight up. And we did, but it was a bit of a dodgy. And I know what you mean, James. I felt like that first half went on for ages. And I kept thinking, oh, it was only like 35 minutes gone and whatever. But sorry, moving on to the second half. It was always, I really sort of felt in my heart that the next goal was going to win it. Whoever scored the next goal for me was going to win it. I think it would have been too much for either team to come back from, and they didn't deserve it. They played the most boring football I've ever seen them play. They're not as good as they think they are. And we did get the reaction that we wanted, but we are helping. The fans are the 12th man. I don't think people realise. I mean, the players are loving it. Arteta keeps commenting on us as well. And I just feel that we are their 12th man, I'm afraid. We have to keep doing what we're doing because it's working. And then Saka, isn't it? I can't, do you know what? My brain has gone because I've been talking about this all day long. Our second goal. Oh no, our second goal was brilliant. It's the best. I love it. Absolutely love Lloris on
mainly because of the gap, the Lloris fumble.
Do you know what? We don't often score things like that. It doesn't fall for us. That's what normally goes against us. You know, our goalkeeper will make a mistake and they toe poke it home and everything. And it was just brilliant that they messed up and they couldn't complain about anything. And Jesus was there like the little fox in the box. And I just loved it. And I know it sounds really weird, but it was my favourite goal for that reason. Not because of obviously Partey's shot was beautiful and Xhaka's goal was beautiful, but the banter about that goal is just fantastic.
Yeah, I loved it. Do you know what? I said to the guy next to me, a guy that I go to the football with, who's got the seat next to me, it almost felt like we gave them the penalty. It was like a gift that we gave them. So wasn't it nice to get a gift back from them in the form of, well, I say a gift, but if you think about, if you replay that in your mind, James, some thoughts on you from that moment. I think what we'll do is, Cookie, if you can talk after that moment up until the red card, then I want to get your thoughts on the red card. But for me, the ball comes in from Saka. It's a half decent save from Lloris, and he's palmed it out, and then it almost sort of ricochets off of Romero. So half of me was a bit like finding it hilarious that they've made the mistake and then it falls under Lloris's arms and, you know, it gets squirmed in and Gabriel just toe pokes it home to make sure that, you know, the stats say that he got the goal. So it's half a mistake, but actually it happened so quickly that I wonder if, you know, can you put that down too much to Tottenham and their mistake, or actually just Gabriel Jesus following up, being a pest and doing exactly what pests do and getting in there and banging it away. So, James, just a few thoughts on the goal and your general feelings around that, and then let's talk up to that sending off.
I think something that maybe hasn't been spoken about enough yesterday is just how good Arteta is at stoking the fire. When we came out from half time, we looked, you know, from a team that was, I wouldn't say we were depleted going into half time, but definitely we weren't on the front foot at that period. But coming out into that second 45, we just looked like, you know, if you're playing a video game and you suddenly pick up an energy bar, that's kind of what we felt like. And we just looked full of energy, full of excitement, full of, you know, aggressiveness, full of determination to win the game. And that goal was coming in any way, shape or form. It was definitely coming because we were so on top. And what I loved about that goal was two things, really. Saka was so determined to score yesterday. I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but the amount of times he drove into the box, beat about 3-4 people and just couldn't quite get his shot off. It's kind of infuriating in a way because I wanted him to pass it. But he really wanted to score, and that's kind of I loved his determination to try and get on the score sheet. But great shot in this instance, forced a great save from the
Yeah.
Reese. They're probably cursing themselves they didn't play Fraser Forster, because if he starts, he loves a game against us. They probably come away from this game with a draw. But I actually thought Lloris wasn't quite at it yesterday. I know he's just coming off the back of an injury. He got withdrawn from the French squad. I thought there were a couple of really loose balls he made. There were a couple of balls he didn't quite get to. He just never really looked convincing for me. So I kind of wasn't anticipating this mistake, but I'm not exactly surprised that it happened. And we know he's still a class keeper, but we know he's getting on a bit as well. So really good to take advantage of that. And I was kind of half celebrating at the time, because I initially thought that Jesus has kicked it out of his hands and it would go to VAR and God knows what would happen. But seeing it back on the replays where it just falls and he just toe pokes it, it's beautiful. Like if Lacazette's in the team, he's still having his pre-match meal at that point. He's nowhere near that area of the goal. So to have someone that is always there, always ready to respond to action is fantastic. And then after that, Emerson getting the sending off. I mean, Spurs weren't exactly in the game, but they give themselves hell of a lot more of an opportunity to do something with him on the pitch, and I just can't work out why he does it. I get, it's a derby, there's a lot of emotions in the air, but Martinelli's going the wrong way. He's not posing any threat whatsoever. It's really immature, and this is a guy that we've seen in the build-up to this game saying that he spent £1 million on trying to better himself as a Tottenham player. Well, you're never going to ever be a good player if you make silly mistakes like that, and I think Spurs fans kind of see him as a bit of a liability, and he's certainly proved himself to be that. So, yeah, thank you, Emerson Royale. That was absolutely perfect. And then, obviously, I won't go into too much detail on the Xhaka goal, but then to sew things up from there, I wish we'd have been a bit more ruthless and gone for more goals. But, I can't complain.
Do you know what? I feel exactly the same thing. As soon as Xhaka got that goal, I almost lost my voice shouting, "We're not done. I'm not done. Arsenal aren't done. We want more." Because that's what it felt like. I'm going to rewind just a little bit to get Amanda to give her say on it. But yeah, from my perspective, as I said earlier, in real time, I thought, it's probably a yellow card. When I've re-seen it, it's a red card. There are Tottenham fans complaining that it's harsh. Sorry, not having it.
I mean, at the time, I didn't even clock that it was Emerson that had gone off. I thought, there'd been a coming together with the referee and Richarlison had said something or, headbutted someone, because he was the one that I was obviously suspecting to go off. But when I saw it was Emerson, I was like, what? Like, what did he do? So, yeah, I mean, like you say, seeing it back after the game, horrible challenge on an Achilles as well, especially after the injury Martinelli had not too long ago. It's just dirty and unnecessary. And that one Kane made on Gabriel as well. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen that, but
nasty snide.
Sums him up.
Oh, I've not seen that one. Oh, okay. The red card, it's interesting because it's literally diagonal to me. And I saw this whole coming together and I'm like you, James. I heard the crowd roar so much. And I thought that can't be a yellow because it sounds like a red. And then I couldn't see what was going on and everyone was standing up because obviously we're up a tier. And then he starts walking off. And as you know, you don't get sort of those replays, but you can go on social media and quickly have a look. And my dad was at home watching, and I said, he said, Amanda, studs up, red card, definite. He said, everyone in the studio is saying the same thing. I said, okay, fine. I said, and that was that. So I really don't know what makes me really angry, and this really makes me angry. That was Xhaka. Okay, there'd be no debate. Red card, it's Xhaka, he's done it again, considering he hasn't done it this season like that. But because it's Tottenham, it's a red, he's gone studs on his ankle. That's a red card. I don't even know why we've got to debate it. It really angered me. It's because it's Tottenham and it's because it's us. Well, do you know what? Live with it. Because if and I'm often one that goes against the grain, I would sit here and go, it wasn't a red for me. Total red card. Get off the pitch. You've caused now more problems for your team. Conte probably doesn't even know what to do because he doesn't expect any of his players to ever get sent off. And it was fully deserved. And did it harm the game for them? Absolutely. We just kept going at them. And the only thing is, I mean, when you watch someone like City today who had demolished United 6, their goal difference was only 3 today. Ours was only 2 yesterday. So they let in 3 goals, which was bizarre watching it, actually. And I'm happy with 3-1. I predicted 2-2, but I'm happy with 3-1. And just felt we dominated the game, and yes, we did dominate when they did that. And then I thought we brought 5 subs on. It was hilarious because it's right opposite me, but it's like literally diagonal to me. And I was like, he's bringing on half a team here. Who's going off? It's just funny to watch because, you know, we're not used to seeing so many subs come on. Maximum we've ever known 2 or 3 is max, but yeah. I don't know where we are because I'm absolutely buzzing about it all, and there's so much to say still. But
there's loads to say. Well, actually, Amanda,
but we want to talk about Ben
I want to
White,
stick with you. Sorry, Amanda. I want to stick with you. We will come to Amanda. We will come to Ben White in a second.
Lots of questions now.
Loads of questions which we'll get through. But we want to. I want to talk through that third goal because so Emerson Royal gets sent off, and the 5 subs or the subs that Conte made actually obviously happened after Xhaka got his goal because then Conte just gave up. And from our perspective, that's amazing because it's like, wow, we're in a North London derby and we're now resting players to say, Thomas Partey, you sit down, mate. You have a week off. We'll see you at Liverpool. You know, we made those subs. And for me, I was like, this is perfection. Conte giving up like that. But let's do a collective reliving and talk to me, Amanda, about your feelings with that Xhaka goal. Because as I said, we talked about it right at the start of the show. One of my favourite things, I let you have I'll let you relive it right at the beginning. But one of my favourite things was Eric Dyer being sent for a hot dog, completely flat-footed for that goal as Granit Xhaka just took it off of Martinelli's feet and then swept it home. Thoughts in the ground from you when that happened, your thoughts on the strike, your thoughts actually on Granit Xhaka's performance in general as well. Be really, really good to know.
Well, first of all, he was my man of the match, even though I got confused on Twitter very early this morning. Said Partey, I got confused. I named him man of the match last night. Do you know what? We could do a whole show on Xhaka. We just could, because most of us need to hold our hands up and say we just didn't see this coming. What a player we've got. And I was actually, funny enough, discussing this on LinkedIn.
New contract?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, a lot of people were disappointed when he didn't go to Roma. And I'll hold my hands up. I've said this before. I supported him until many people didn't. And then I just thought, you know what? These red cards. Yes, Christopher. These red cards. I remember you telling me.
Amanda, but for those of you that are listening to this on podcast medium and not on audio, I am stroking my very smuggish chin because I had 1 or 2 conversations on this here channel in which I have waxed lyrical about Granit Xhaka and Amanda has not. But Amanda, please continue talking about how fabulous Granit Xhaka is. And
I remember defending him for a long time, and then I just thought he's not good enough. But I remember a lot of people saying he's just not playing in the right position, but he was never played in the right position until Mr. Arteta walks in the door, convinces him not to go to Rome, because I was listening to his, he wrote something the other day about this, Xhaka. He told his family, didn't he, you know what, we're staying, and they all thought he was mad because of what he's been through. I just want to give him a hug. Honestly, just want to give him a hug and say thank you for staying loyal to many things. I mean, obviously, I'd never abuse anyone. If the abuse he got, staying loyal to a club where, yes, Arteta believed in you, but many didn't, apart from you, young Christopher, and a few others. But I remember saying to Carl, and he'll probably back me up because he's in the chat. I remember saying, I'm not sure Saka's done much. Saka, not Xhaka. Saka's done much today. Saka. And then all of a sudden he comes in front of us. I think he turns in 2 men, passes the ball into Xhaka, and he scores the most beautiful goal. And I remember, it was weird. It was like I'd sort of preempted each goal at those moments. And I mean, he east upper, so I can't do it because it's wrong on this side, but it was just beautiful. And the fact that it was Xhaka. Sorry.
As Carl says, in the chat, the redemption arc is complete.
Absolutely. And game after game. And I'd like to know, and I've probably forgotten, the last time he got carded, the last time he made a stupid tackle. Yes, he messed up with Gabriel in defence. They're human. They're going to make mistakes. The best defenders make a mistake. We do need to talk about Saliba before the end of this as well.
Yeah, but he doesn't make a mistake.
He's just one of the best, isn't he? And I just very proud of Xhaka. I'm very proud of the turnaround. I'm very proud of Arteta for noticing what a player he is, where he should be playing him there, stopping all the needless, silly tackles, and bang, what a player we've got. Yes, definitely a new contract, young Christopher.
Lovely. And Granit Xhaka, it's from my perspective, is really, really interesting. Cookie, I'm going to get onto you in just a second to have a bit of a Ben White loving. We're going to have a bit of a chat for Ben White versus Tommy loving Adam Park in the chat. As mentioned, let's have a debate about Ben White versus Tomiyasu. But just before I go to that, I'm just going to have my 2 penneth on Xhaka, because why not? I think it's so interesting that we are now seeing the type of Granit Xhaka that we've all talked about for Switzerland, because he plays in a more advanced position sometimes for Switzerland. I know he's played deeper as well for Switzerland, but I think Granit Xhaka has been released because of the structural integrity of the Arsenal team at the moment. I think that Arteta has been able to find the pieces to his puzzle so that we are finally at a team which Arteta is like, yes, this is how I want it set up. And maybe I'm giving Arteta too much credit. I don't know. I'm just a football fan. I see what's in front of my eyes, and what's in front of my eyes this season is 7 wins and 1 defeat. And that defeat shouldn't have been a defeat. We should be 8 in a row right now. And that is very impressive. And a lot of it is down to Granit Xhaka and the way that he is set up in this team. We've been used to seeing a Granit Xhaka that is not mobile, is put under pressure, loses, it can make mistakes, as every human can, but in certain positions, he's vulnerable. But the way that we're deploying Xhaka this season, we are absolutely maximising the value that he can deliver on a football pitch, his vision, his passing range. And it's amazing to see, as I said earlier on, his best ever goal and assist returns is 6 in a season. It's 4 goals and 2 assists. He's got 2 goals and 3 assists. The way that he's playing right now, he will double, maybe he'll even treble that if he continues on that form. But Cookie, let's move on. We do want to have a conversation about the Ben White debate, the Ben White and Tomiyasu debate, because Tomiyasu played for Japan in the international breaks at a left centre back. Maybe this becomes, actually, I'm going to give you a bit of a soapbox to have a little chat on this, Cookie, but maybe this becomes does Gabriel play or does Tomiyasu play? Because Tomiyasu apparently played left centre back for Japan. I didn't watch any of the game, but he was immense. So maybe there's something to be said there. I want you to talk a little bit around Ben White. Let's talk about how good he's been, because Tomiyasu is a fantastic defender and we love him. And we want him to play, but you cannot change a winning team. And Ben White is showing what happens when you have players in form, isn't he?
Absolutely. And I loved what Tomiyasu said when he was away with Japan, that I can't quite remember the exact quote, but just about, he can't really complain about being out of the team because of the quality in front of him. And he's got to make sure that he gets up to speed to make sure he gets back into the team. No whinging, no moaning that he's out the side, just recognises that Ben White is playing so well and is so important to the side. And technically, I think not only is he a really good defender, but just his footballing intelligence is elite. It's genuinely fantastic. And the way he slots into this team, slots into midfield, the only thing he doesn't really have to his game is those overlapping runs. He makes them very minimally. Sometimes he does make them well, but he's not a bombing on type of fullback. I think that's the only real difference between him and Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu doesn't do that to a great extent either, but from an attacking point of view, I do think he offers us a little bit more. But for the way we build up and dominate games, Ben White, you just simply can't drop him at the minute. I do think there is a place for Tomiyasu in this side, potentially, dare I say, when Cedric comes back into the team for the Europa League games.
Cedric will never come back into this team ever. Come on, last season. You know my feelings on that. Sorry,
I know you despise him, mate. But I think if we're looking to rest even more players, because I was racking through my brains, which is a very tough thing for me to do. But when I was having a little look into the old memory bank about what sort of team we can field on Thursday, I think we're going to have to at least play 2 players that played this weekend and will play against Liverpool. And I think that will be Xhaka and Gabriel. But if we can potentially rest Gabriel and then put Tomiyasu in at left centre-back or right centre-back, wherever it may be, alongside Rob Holding. And Cedric will be fine in the Europa League. I've got no real problems with him there. We can essentially, give Tomiyasu a more varied role in the team and still rest a lot of players. So I love having a player like him available because I think he's so versatile, the same as Ben White is. And again, similarly to the not problem, but the luxury we've got at left back is we've got two fantastic right back options now, and we don't have to worry about Cedric coming into the team. That's a thing of the past. And now we've got Saliba. We've got another option at centre back, and we haven't even come close to having Rob Holding play a Premier League game yet, which just shows. I know people are still a little bit on edge about us not having quality and depth, but I would kind of challenge that. I know we didn't get another central defensive midfielder in to be that Partey backup, but I think in other areas of the pitch we're pretty much, we're pretty well covered. I don't think it's as bad as people are making out. Obviously, if you lose a Jesus, a Xhaka, these kind of players, they're so important to a team that you're not going to find a world-class backup that's happy to sit on the bench. It's the equivalent of City losing Haaland. Who the hell did they replace him with if he gets an ACL injury? Big players, if they get injured, will be a big loss to any team. You can't always replace them. So I'm going off on a tangent here, but having, variety and versatility in different positions of the pitch, Tomiyasu is one of those luxury players to have. And I think if he keeps working hard, he'll find a way back into this team. But at the minute, it's not when Ben White is playing so well.
Yeah, 100% with you, Amanda. I'm going to give you an additional sort of minute or two to talk about the White, Tomiyasu, Gabriel sort of general debate. And when I throw Gabriel in there, it's more left centre back, Tomiyasu play there. Don't know. Some thoughts from your perspective.
It is tough. I think Tomiyasu's fantastic. And I'm just going to put a few comments up that I've started to agree with. Dan Hudson, welcome to the show. I'm sorry, I think Tommy is better at right back. He's almost Martinelli level going forward. That said, what a great issue to have. Thanks, Dan. And that's totally true. What a wonderful issue we've got, because Ben White obviously can slot back into centre back if we need it. We've got Saliba playing like Saliba, as they say. We've got Tierney in the Zinchenko situation. And now we've got Tomiyasu, who we're all desperate to see, but look how well Ben White is playing. I mean, is it his position to lose? We do have, obviously, Thursday night and Sunday. Maybe he'll make that change. It is nice that we are in this position, though, Chris. It is. Yep. It is nice. And I agree with Pat Moyles. Never change a winning team.
100%.
We've all said that, but, we don't know what knocks they've got. We don't know if Partey's going to be all right for Thursday night. The only thing I would say is the only thing I agreed with Al on my podcast on Thursday night is the Jesus issue. Because if he does go, Eddie comes in. And as much as Eddie's doing well and progressing and stuff, he's no Jesus in that respect, is he? Where Carl Stark says Eddie will step up and do a job if needed. I think we're all in such good positions at the moment that we're in such a high that the players are playing so well. I think they're all going to step in and do their jobs if we need it.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I agree with you. There is going to be an inevitable step down. And I'm sure you guys felt the same thing. Like Gabriel Jesus got a knock in one of the build-up to play after we'd scored our second goal and before we'd scored our third. So I think it was in between the second goal and the red card. And then Gabriel Jesus, actually, there was a cross in and he headed just wide. It bounced it down into the ground. And you could see he was wincing because he'd obviously taken a kick. And all of us around, and obviously where I sit, is we were looking at each other going, if we lose him, we're in trouble. And it was almost like, maybe take him off right now. Just, don't risk it. But that's the benefit of, I think that's the benefit of where we're at with the Europa League games. We need to give Eddie minutes. He needs a goal. I think once he gets a goal,
to play Thursday straight off, doesn't he, Chris?
Yeah,
he needs to play Thursday
100%.
Because it's going to come either an injury or that yellow card. It's going to come. And we don't know what's going to happen with the World Cup. It's all a bit of a strange year again this year, isn't it? So, but it is a nice problem in the rest of the team to have. ESR, bless him, he's hopefully going to come back stronger and we're all thinking of him, hopefully back for January, fresh legs. It is lovely, but has anyone noticed, and we were talking about this afternoon, about Balogun? He's scoring for absolute free in France at the moment.
Banging it.
I know it's a sort of a different league, but wow, You know, we're going to want him back, God forbid anything. But yeah, you know, and also, yeah, it's actually what Robert Stevens has said as well. Think about it. We haven't even spoken about Marquinhos, and he had a great game. We have got such exciting players, and Vieira. I thought Vieira was brilliant against Brentford. Absolutely brilliant. So,
Nelson back too.
Depth.
yeah.
Depth. We got some depth.
It's the depth everywhere, Chris. It's just the Jesus. It's
Yep.
everywhere else, isn't it? It's just the Jesus part.
We'll see though. We'll see though. So, James, we've got 5 minutes left. So we've got 5 minutes to talk about. I mean, we could probably talk for hours. Let's be honest. But I'm going to just make some noises, and I want you to just talk based on these noises. I'm going to leave it there because the song does go a long time. But if you can just elaborate on that based on yesterday's performance.
I will have to keep this brief because, like you say, I could wax lyrical about this guy for hours. He is, I don't say this lightly, generational. World class. You know, I've got absolutely no problems laying those words out there right now. He is one of the best defenders, if not the best, I've seen at the Emirates. I think he's absolutely superb. You know, I know we've not always had best centre halves. You know, we've had to go through the likes of Senderos and Squillaci, and you know, our best period was probably when we had Koscielny and Vermaelen, and not Vermaelen, Koscielny and Mertesacker at the back. But this guy, the way he technically, similarly to Ben White, technically unbelievable. So good. Can pick out a pass from absolutely anywhere, drives forward, gets involved in the attack. I mean, what the hell was he doing? Nutmegging, who was it he nutmegged? I can't quite remember, but what on earth was he doing that high up the pitch? I mean, he has got everything in his locker, and I think he could comfortably slot into any team in world football and still be their best centre-half. I think he is that good. And that moment where he had about 4 Spurs players around him, and I've almost got my head in my hands because I'm certain they're going to nick the ball off him and put it in the net. I mean, I've still got PTSD from Mustafi, but the way he just turns and plays it out, it's just... I should never be worried when he's got the ball, no matter how many players are around it, because he finds a way out of it. And I'm not going to talk about him any longer because I'm sure you guys have got your own takes on it. But we need to get him signed up because he is a £150 million player right now. He's unbelievable.
Yeah. Amanda, you want to do some waxing lyrical?
Yeah, Saliba's nutmeg on skipping Spurs penalty area was great from Patrick Carlson. Thank you, Patrick. Listen. We've seen some defenders in our time and mainly not good ones. The fact that he goes to France, everyone's arguing about whether he should be there or not. He doesn't like Arsenal. Arsenal don't like him. Arteta, there's blah, blah, blah. I don't listen to any of it anyway. He comes back, he comes to us. And words fail me how good he is. How good he is at his age in a massive club that really... just missed out on Champions League football. I'm not saying the air was toxic. It wasn't. It was starting to change. But he's come in, and the expectations, because our defence isn't the best on the planet, is it? Was it? Sorry. And now we got to get him signed up. And it was very interesting because someone actually mentioned this, but Jamie Carragher put out a tweet yesterday. All he put was Saliba and fire. Yeah. And I said to him, shh, we don't want anyone to know, thanks. Absolutely no one talk about Saliba. I don't want anyone to talk about Saliba, but he does look genuinely over the moon every time he plays. And we're all happy. I don't know anyone that doesn't rate him. No one. And dare I say it, is he our Van Dijk?
He's better than Van Dijk, Amanda. Come on.
Van Dijk's old. He's past it. Yeah. Do you know this is an interesting thing? So, and I just wrote this down. Our back line, we're conceding. We've conceded goals. We conceded a silly goal yesterday. Let's all acknowledge that. And we conceded a silly goal against Aston Villa, which it was from a corner. We conceded a silly goal at Leicester. At home to Leicester. We have conceded silly goals, but they've just been through individual errors. It's not been through structural mistakes that the team's made. But I feel, and I don't want to jinx this. I'm touching. I have a wooden desk. I am touching it with all of my fingers here. I'm touching wood as I say this. I'm going into games thinking to myself, we should win this today. I've just been looking. So next weekend we play Liverpool, who drew 3-3 and looked like they're shipping goals against Brighton.
Average.
When it gets to Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, don't get me wrong, I'm going to be terrified. And on Sunday morning when I'm in the pub, or Sunday afternoon when I'm in the pub, I'm going to be saying, "Oh, I'll take a draw. Oh, they could do us." Da, 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 da. And they might beat us. Whatever. I'm going into that game though, not going, "Oh, well, maybe if we get a draw, we'll be lucky." I'm going into that game saying, "I believe in this. I'm starting to really believe in this team." And then the week after we play Leeds. I mean, I'm taking out the Europa League, but we play Leeds, and I'm thinking. I watched the Leeds game as I was cooking this evening, and I'm thinking, yeah, we could do Leeds. And then we play Nottingham Forest. We could do Nottingham Forest. And we play Chelsea. We can do Chelsea. I'm actually going into games thinking we could get the result here. When we beat Villa last season and Emile Smith-Rowe scored, I remember talking to Lucy Gouda, who many people will probably know. I remember talking to Lucy in the pub and saying to her, Villa, who knows? We should win. Maybe we'll win. I don't know. The feeling is totally different to today, and that's amazing. So we are on the hour mark. We're about to wrap up. I'm going to hit some stats on the actual performance yesterday, just to prove how dominant we were, despite Tony Conte's nonsense. And then I'm going to have a bit of an AOB. You can have a free swim, Amanda and James. I'll start with James. Just any final thoughts or anything that you wanted to pick out that maybe I haven't thought about because I've got through half a bottle of Jack Daniels and a load of wine this evening. So, that sort of happens as you get into your old age. But some stats here, 65% possession for Arsenal to 35. We dominated Tottenham with the ball. Our passing accuracy, 88% to 77%. We were dominant in our accuracy. We had 22 attempts at goal to their 6. I'm surprised they even got 6 because it didn't feel like that. But maybe there was a few odd ones like the Perisic one that was blazed over, or when Richarlison forced Aaron Ramsdale into a save. Don't think it should be counted because he was offside. We were just dominant. This was a dominant Arsenal display. Like Tottenham had to make more tackles. They had to make more interceptions. Tottenham won 6 aerial battles. We won 16. Like we were the better team throughout. Forget this nonsense about the red card. Up until that point, we were the better team. And after that point, we were the better team. So I'm taking from this that this is an Arsenal team that is different from last season. This is an Arsenal team with focus. This is an Arsenal team that I'm not going to say the whole title thing. I'm just going to say I think there's a desire and there's an excitement here. So, Cookie, I'm going to stop talking because I've rambled long enough before we wrap up. But anything like final bits that you just wanted to pick up on, just any final thoughts for our beautiful listeners before we disappear this evening?
I think the only thing that's playing on my mind is the amount of talk, the kind of 50-50 split on whether we are a potential title challenger or not. And obviously, I don't think we'll win the league. I looked at City today and they've just got an absolute machine up front. They've got such a settled team. I think they will comfortably win the league this season. I think they could win it by 10, 15, maybe even 20 points. God knows how far they'll go. But I think, why can't we give them a run? Like, let's see what we're made of. Let's take it right to the end. And, if we lose out, we lose out. But God almighty, what an improvement that will be on what we've seen over the past couple of years. If we won the Europa League and challenged up until May for the title, what a season that would be. I mean, obviously, if it comes to May and we're within a couple of points, let's do what we can to win it. But I think it's silly to discredit us from, going the distance, because what team is currently playing better football? Obviously, a couple of injuries and, God knows what could happen. I don't want to say that will curtail our season, because we have got someone like Vieira that can step in for Odegaard. We have got someone like Tomiyasu that can step in for Ben White. We've got Tierney, Zinchenko. We've got something that we didn't have last season, and we're playing better football, and we're scoring a hell of a lot more goals and creating even more opportunities. This is a team that is maturing, and if we did go that far as to still be within distance of the title around April, May time, for what is the youngest team in the Premier League, how exciting is that for the years to come? So that's what I'm going to end it on. I'm very happy.
Love it, mate. Do you know what? You can't see it. The listeners that are listening on podcast format can't see it, but those that even are watching can't see. I have goose pimples from that rousing speech. Amanda, final thoughts before we wrap up.
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to thank you, Chris, for hosting. You've done absolutely brilliant. That hour has flown
Oh,
by.
stop it, you.
Oh, stop it. You've done so well, and he's given me a night off just thinking I just can chat about football. I'd like to thank everyone in the chat room for all your brilliant support, your questions, your jokes. It's fantastic. We're here. We absolutely love chatting with you. James, it's been brilliant chatting with you, but I just want to say something, is that exactly what James said. Don't think we're going to win the league. Unfortunately, Haaland, even Foden. I mean, you forget Kevin De Bruyne. It just goes on the list. And I've got loads of City mates that were there today, all different parts of the ground, waxing lyrical. They actually really respect us. I think they absolutely, I know this for a fact, love Arteta anyway. And they see us as, they think that we've vastly improved, but I don't think anyone can see anyone else beating them. I don't think we'll beat them. But yes, do you know what? We're Arsenal. Let's give it a go. For God's sake, last year we were competing just to get 5th or 4th. Why not go for it? And I think we will. I think that each game, if we beat Liverpool, I don't know when the World Cup is, we could still be top. It's a fabulous feeling, but yeah, we just know we're not at that stage, but we are at everybody else's stage. So why can't we go for 2nd or 3rd? Why not? For what
Absolutely.
reason? Liverpool are very average. Tottenham, I've said it all every game, they get away with it. They're just because the other teams don't take their chances where we did. Chelsea, okay, they got a last minute winner. They're going to be up there. Liverpool, well, again, they managed to get a draw when apparently they were terrible. But we can beat Liverpool. And I'm like you, Chris. I now look at the games how we used to 15 years ago and go, yeah, we've got a great chance. And it's all that. So for me, it's just tremendous start. And what I would say to everybody is enjoy it, because we don't know if it's going to last. So don't worry about 6 matches down the line, or November, or January or February. If you can't live in the moment now, there's no point going to football. You've got to enjoy it now. The atmosphere is like being in an away game now. Everyone's behind the team. There's no toxicity. There's still idiots on podcasts like still moaning. God knows why can you moan? And I just really, really, really enjoy it. And I really loved being in the Emirates and chatting with everybody. And we're all in good moods and we're all feeling really, really positive. And I would just like to say before I finish, because Chris is going to end the show, is that please press like, because it does make a difference. It's this algorithm thing, not that I know much. It doesn't take 2 seconds to press the like button. And please subscribe, because we're having loads of different shows come up at different times and you're going to miss out. So just subscribe, you'll get alerted. And hopefully Craig will be back very soon. This will be going on to audio soon as well, a couple of hours time. Chris, you've done a fantastic job. You really have. And we will be back next weekend, probably on the Monday night, because the 3 of us will be at Liverpool. I may even do a post-game show against Bodo, because I'm not able to go Thursday night, but I don't know yet. But anyway, just enjoy the football. Enjoy it while it lasts. And if we could get 2nd, wow, it'll be like winning the league.
Exactly. So, if Man City do by some miracle end up pipping us to the title, then that's fair enough. There is still the Europa League, the FA Cup, and the League Cup that we can do. So I'm not going to sniff at treble, but I think it's interesting. Yeah, take the treble. Interesting what Amanda was saying about that. A lot of football is about the destination, it's about winning trophies, but actually enjoy the journey that we're on right now. The journey that we've had so far is 7 wins out of 8, people. Drink it in. You've got all of the media narrative, the nonsense around you haven't played anyone decent. All right, well, I'll play another 38 games. I'll play another 100 games where we don't play anyone decent. As long as those wins keep coming, I don't care. The most important thing to take away from today, and I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to us basking in the glow of a North London derby victory. The most important thing that I want you all to take from this is that it is red. North London, it is red. Enjoy the rest of your evening or week, bask in it a little bit more, and let's look forward to Bodo Glimt on Thursday. Catch you all next time. Bye.
Good night, everybody. Always Arsenal.